I support Hasan. I know that there are a lot of people who do not like him. He says things that sometimes a little bit too hyperbolic, I guess. He's using too much spicy language, but I still appreciate like what he's doing for the actual left. A bit. Yeah, a bit was probably like the understatement of the century. I wanted to talk about Hasan. Actually, I wanted to talk about a recent situation that involved Tectone, a bunch of other people, and Elon Musk, actually. Elon Musk doesn't like Hasan. Hasan had crimes and Vivian and so on his stream. Obviously, doesn't like Hasan. There are a bunch of clips of Hasan speaking in metaphors, getting clipped out of context. You know what transphobes are doing to me with like, oh, Nyara said children can consent. But like, you know, the full sentence and the full context behind it is making what I said, is putting what I said in like a way different light. That is kind of like happening with Hasan. Like there's one clip that is being used where Hasan is like, oh, the Democrats need to like start killing the Republicans, and it was like about debates, you know, killing Republicans in debates, stepping up their game, being more, and that's just like being used out of context. And Elon Musk tagging Jeff Bezos. Tecton tweeted, Twitch is corrupt and needs immediate action. Twitch, you must ban Hasan, with like, you know, these out of context clips that got quote tweeted by someone, I don't know who, and Elon Musk responded with, what's up here at Jeff Bezos? Basically, Elon Musk calling Jeff Bezos to get rid of Hasan. GB Reviews posted, you all realize how big a deal this is, right? Elon Musk directly calling out Amazon, Twitch, and Hasan. Something is probably going to happen finally. Just wondering, in Amazon thinks it's okay to pay and promote someone he's paid by Twitch Amazon who makes repeated calls for murder. Obviously also like out of context. And I'm going to explain to you how dangerous this rhetoric is, even if you do not like Hasan, right? I don't care if you like Hasan or not right now. You know, this is not what this is about. I'm going to tell you about like the implications that this is going to have. So if you have a clip of someone saying something, right? And it's like a very normal statement. I'm going to use me, for example. I'm going to be like, if you give a child that is questioning their gender identity puberty blockers, you're delaying puberty, and you are giving this child time to work with experts in the field before rushing them into irreversible changes and causing them more distress. And when I'm going to say that like children know their gender identity, they know how they feel about themselves, right? A girl knows they're a girl, and you know, trans girl knows that they're a girl. I made like the statement of like, there are areas where, you know, minors consent to medical practices, right? I'm not even talking about, obviously, I'm not talking about like any 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and so on. Like the parents and so on still need to consent to medical treatment for their child, but there are exceptions. And if you take this out of context and you're going like, oh, you know, first of all, they are blowing things way out of proportion. They're going to be like, oh, Nyara wants to give puberty blockers to 6-year-old, and it's like, I mean, to be fair, if a 6-year-old is going into precocious puberty, yeah, they should have puberty blockers. That's why puberty blockers were invented, actually. Or they're going to say that like, Nyara doesn't want children to go in puberty at all because they can't consent to it, shit like that. But there are also going to be instances of people being like, oh, Nyara said that children can consent, you know, to medical practices, but that is always left out. If that is going to be taken out of context and people are going to attack me for it, and they are calling for me to get banned on Twitch, or I don't know, they're going to use this for me to lose my partnership with Hewwo Market and so on. And then these companies are going to like sit there and they're actually listening to the full story and not just like listening to the people who are like stirring up the pot, the ones who are doing like the cancel culture, the things that they were accusing us of doing. They're taking things out of context in order to get us fired from jobs and so on. If that is not going to happen because the context makes it okay, then it gives people the idea that they have to take matters into their own hands, which is basically inciting violence. If you If you're mischaracterizing people and you portray them in a way that makes them seem like a threat to society, and you're calling for bans, you know, things that are quote unquote like compromises and peaceful and so on, if that doesn't happen, you are essentially telling radicalized people, you know, deranged people, that they actually need to do evil things in order to get rid of this pest. This is bad. Now the fact that like right-wingers are doing this form of like cancel culture and they're getting away with it, they're able to like get people fired, and you know, Elon Musk instigating more and more. Dan Clancy, the CEO of Twitch, what happens when he doesn't budge? Because the context makes what he says okay. Also, the other thing is like, what happens when Hasan gets permanently banned? What happens then? Who is next on the list, right? Who is the next leftist political commentator, right? The same shit as always. Frankly, Kirsche and gang are doing the exact same thing. They accuse the blue hat SJWs they hate of what doing. Yeah, exactly. The difference is that like when people are being bigots, when people are being, you know, saying fascist things, when people are saying dangerous rhetorics, if they're spreading propaganda, misinformation, and so on, there's no amount of context that makes things okay. So if they face repercussions, that is justified, because they are bad people doing bad things. If the bad people are taking things out of context,
shut the up, bitch.
If bad people are taking things out of context from good people to portray them in the light of them doing bad things, and then they get repercussions for that, that is basically forming a permission structure of like, we are now in charge. If you do not align with us, then you either need to shut up or you need to appeal to us. Otherwise, we can get you fired. We can get you terminated, right? You saw that with Valence and waifu wares when people were, you know, taking things out of context, dogpiling and forming like a harassment campaign and pressuring waifu wares to get Anna dropped. And, you know, because it's like a small business that dropped Anna. That sucks, honestly. The fact that like these bigots can mobilize people, have like a target, and then just like dogpile on someone, and it's just getting boosted and boosted in these like ecospheres, that is dangerous. It's a dangerous trend. And the fact that like the owner of the website x.com is directly calling out Jeff Bezos, you know, this, I think this tweet had like 6 million views and whatnot. That is like a bad sign. I don't know if something is going to come from this, but I know that people like Techdown, who make it their entire personality to be shitty people, are not going to stop, right? At this point, it's also like it's like revenge. It's just shitty people being awful, horrendous people and making it their entire personality, their entire goal to just take down whoever wronged them. You saw that with like how Asmongold talks about me, how Asmongold is portraying me. I tweeted about these things. This is how Asmongold talks about me, for example.
What you need to understand about any of these people that do this shit is that they are mentally ill, abusive, narcissistic, vitriolic, aggressive, bad people. And the only thing that they like to do is they like to attach themselves to social causes that justify that behavior. That's what it is. Tech don't comment. I mean, no one of value gives a single fuck about Mayar anymore. And that's not true. Any more implies they ever did. They never did. This is just a on Twitter that just tries to capitalize on hate for other people.
Projection is wild, by the way. But yeah, you know, him saying that like,
you know, for years we've had to live under the thumb of people that are like this, and those days are over. I'm going to do my best job to kill them as well as I can.
Metaphorically, of course. Metaphorically, of course. But yeah, you know, like these are like the things that there are a bunch of clips more where he's like talking about how he doesn't like me and he's going to do his best job to tell people what an problematic, unpleasant person I am. Shit like that. Like, they're obviously VTubers who don't like Asmongold, but they're not going to like step in because they don't want to be targeted like that as well. And it's forming a permission structure that is really dangerous, and it's basically going to reshape the entirety of the content landscape. I feel like VTubing is already like kind of lost because like the anime community is like overrun by fascists with a lot of money. A lot of content creators, big VTubers, do not want to be quote unquote political and standing up for queer rights, etc. to not lose these benefactors. I believe he's gonna talk about himself, his beliefs like that. Yeah, it's just like creating a bad president. If Hasan is actually going to get banned, even if he didn't do anything wrong except for speaking in metaphors that quote-unquote opponents do not understand, do not care about. It's also like always like the hypocrisy of the right that like pisses me off, which is like, you know, if someone would go like, oh, we need to kill these trans people, haha, in Minecraft, then, you know, right-wingers would be like, oh, no, there's probably context to it. It was probably just like talking about like a trans person who did like a bad thing. And it was just like about these trans people. It wasn't about like all trans people, obviously. And like you're just overreacting. That is most of the time how these things are being turned out. On the other hand, people are going to be like, oh, based, actually, yeah, we should totally do that, which is pretty fucked up. Honestly, I support Hasan. I know that there are a lot of people who do not like him. He says things that sometimes a little bit too hyperbolic, I guess. He's using too much spicy language, but I still appreciate like what he's doing for the actual left a bit. Yeah, a bit was probably like the understatement of the century. I also do not agree with like people calling him a grifter, because I don't think that like left-wing grifting is actually a thing, especially in, you know, today's political climate. He's not perfect. Nobody is. Can I link you a video that is about the quartering? Yeah, you can. Sure. How long is it? This one does not give a shit about people celebrating the assassination. If he did, he would call out Kirche for celebrating, making fun of the assassination of the German politician. You mean like the Japanese, or like the also like the protesters, right? It's just hypocrisy. You know, it's just hypocrisy. Like even Kirche is like, oh, these people are so bad. And that is like in a time where lawlessness is permissible. Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things, and it's like the dude who killed, you know, peaceful protesters, or like making fun of the murder of like a socialist prime minister in Japan. I reek. Go sleep. Go. What is it? Shower. That's the word. I want to disappear. Oh God. I'm never going to beat the allegations. Never going to beat the stinky allegations. Oh God.